This video is sponsored by NordVPN. Welcome back everybody to the worst superhero movies ever made, a series where I help you ignore the decay of Western society. And today, the time has finally come. I am finally going to watch the movies I've been avoiding for over a year now. The movies that truly inspired this series. I think Batman v Superman is the movie that a lot of people think about when they think about bad DC movies, and I avoided watching it for a really long time. So yes, that is the subject of this video. But first, I think it's only fair that we talk about the movie that came before it. So let's start by talking about Man of Sponsorships. That's right, I tricked you, I'm sorry. Today's video is sponsored by NordVPN. Now you guys know I don't do sponsorships too often in these videos, but this is one that I actually use, so you gotta listen to me whether you like it or not. Now, I gotta tell you guys a story. I've never told anybody this, but a few years ago, I was a victim of cyber crime. That's right, a sneaky little stinky cyber goblin hacked some of my data, and it was pretty annoying. I don't recommend it. And if you're like me, you don't really know how useful a VPN is until you need one. If you use your computer or even your phone out in public without a VPN, it's basically like driving without your seatbelt. And if you do that, I'm gonna tell Elmo that you haven't been paying attention to his lesson plan. The way it works is that if you're ever out using Wi-Fi that isn't your usual Wi-Fi network, you're actually super exposed, and it's really easy for people to do whatever they want. And you know, just between you and me, I've used other VPN services, and they've not really been as user-friendly. I found NordVPN to have a much nicer interface, and switching servers is much more simple. And right now, you guys can take advantage of a limited-time Black Friday deal. Right now, you can get 68% off of a 2-year plan, plus 4 additional months free if you go to nordvpn.com/cosmonaut, or use code Cosmonaut at checkout. Keep in mind also that VPNs let you do some fun stuff like bypassing region-locked content. If you're in America, you probably know that we don't get to watch Ghibli movies on Netflix, but if you have a VPN, you can just sneak on in and masquerade as a non-American so you too can watch Toto's Delivery Castle like all the cool kids. Keep in mind though, this is a limited time offer. This Black Friday deal isn't going to be available forever. But you can also rest easy in the fact that Nord has a 30-day money-back guarantee. So remember, go to nordvpn.com/cosmonaut or use promo code Cosmonaut at checkout for those Black Friday savings. And again, I would like to thank NordVPN for sponsoring this video. Okay, let's talk about Superman now. Man of Steel is a weird movie. I'm gonna be real with you guys. I don't even think Man of Steel is that bad. It's not good, but compared to the shit that comes after it, it's at least semi-watchable. But the biggest problem with this movie is that it feels wrong. It shows a fundamental misunderstanding of the Superman mythos, a character that has been a part of pop culture for a freaking long time, okay? I think the amount of people who actually get Superman is relatively small, and I've talked about this in my DC superheroes videos, so if you haven't seen that, go watch that, because I don't want to repeat everything. I got shit to do. You've seen the length of this video. It's already long enough. Now, I've been saying this for years and years, but Superman isn't as lame as everybody thinks he is. But movies have always portrayed him in one of two ways: as a boring goody two-shoes Boy Scout narc, or as an emotionless alien demigod that's masquerading as a human without acting like one. And that second one has been popularized by these movies. And that's because of the director of these movies. See, Zack Snyder says he likes comic books, but to me, he's always seemed like the frat bro who reads Watchmen and says, "Bro, you gotta read this. It's not like other comics. It's got sex in it." But let's start by doing something that I don't usually do. I'm going to compliment him now. 300 is a pretty cool movie, and I'm not afraid to say that. I've said it before plenty of times.
300 doesn't completely ruin the source material, because it's already just a comic about people punching and kicking each other, so like he's pretty good at that.
I would agree with you. I think 300 is his best, most iconic movie.
Snyder is really good at looking at shit at face value, and something like 300 is not complex. It's very hard to fuck this up. And that's all the compliments that he's getting right now, so it's time to make fun of him again. Zack Snyder doesn't understand Watchmen. Now, a lot of people actually like his Watchmen adaptation, and I used to be one of those people, but nowadays it kind of ticks me off. Snyder looked at a story that to some degree satirizes the glorification of comic book violence, and he made a dumb action movie that glorifies violence.
I had a buddy who tried getting me into normal comic books, but I was all like, no one is having sex or killing each other. This isn't really doing it for me. I was a little broken that way. So when Watchmen came along, I was like, this is more my scene.
I don't know, to me it doesn't sound like he actually gets it. So let's take the guy who doesn't understand Watchmen and give him the rights to make Batman and Superman movies. I'm sure he'll do a great job.
I'm like, okay, no, Batman's cool. He gets to go to a Tibetan monastery and be trained by ninjas, okay? I want to do that. But he doesn't, like, get r***ed in prison. That could happen in my movie.
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa! Zack Snyder is not interested in making faithful comic book adaptations. He wants to make edgelord fan fiction. I don't think Zack Snyder likes Superman, so I think he made these movies to make the kind of Superman that he would want. So instead you get these movies with a bad Superman, and then eventually you get a bad Batman. And all across these three movies, these characters never improve in any way. And I understand that most of this video so far has been me complaining about Snyder more than actually talking about Man of Steel, but this stuff is really important when we are talking about this series. Because as I've said in this video already, and in other videos before, the biggest problem with these movies is that he doesn't understand these characters. You can make a movie that has a boring-ass story, but if you make the main character relatable and interesting, it will still make money, and people will still go to watch it. Marvel has been doing this for years now. Most of these movies are not very ambitious as far as story is concerned. They are simply carried by their charismatic characters. And in Man of Steel, we have Henry Cavill as Superman, who is not exactly the most charismatic person.
Don't play games with me, General.
Ooh boy. And yeah, you can tell that it's mostly due to how he's written and directed, but to get into that, we actually have to watch the movie now. Now, I'm not going to do a full breakdown of this movie because it's not the shit show that Batman v Superman is, it's not one of the worst superhero movies ever made, so I'm just going to try to break down the general idea of why this movie doesn't work for me, and then we'll go to the next one. To start with the positives, I think Zod works decently well as a compelling main villain. He's around from the very beginning of the movie, so we understand who he is and what he's doing pretty early on. And honestly, I think he works as this overzealous lunatic. And I really like how he reacts to finding out that he has superpowers when he's on Earth. He takes the opposite approach to Superman and he's like, oh, so I'm basically a god, I'm just gonna rule the planet now. I think that's pretty fun. I have no problem with that. And you know, sometimes I just like when a villain is hammy and evil. And yes, it's cool to get a villain that you kind of agree with, but it's also fun to see a villain who's totally 100% wrong, but it's also believable in how insane they are. And I mean it, he's actually insane. I will find him! Also, Michael Shannon is the only actor in this movie who seems to be trying even a little bit. He's the only person here showing a shred of emotion, so I'm gonna have to appreciate that, even if that emotion is insanity. And the scene of Superman flying for the first time is kinda cool. Snyder's really good at montage scenes like this. Any scene where the main character isn't talking has like a 10% chance of being decent. And we're gonna see something like that later too. However, when you actually think about this scene for more than 10 seconds, it falls apart, but we'll get to that later. As for the things in this movie that I don't like, we have basically every other thing in the movie. To start, I hate the way Zack Snyder directs some of these scenes. Every single scene has shaky cam, and it's pretty disorienting. Even just a scene of two characters having a normal conversation is going to have shaky cam. The action shots also employ other handheld camera techniques, and it's never motivated by anything other than the fact that it looks cool. Why does this scene of an outer space battle look like it was shot by a human on Earth without a tripod? I don't know, bro, it looks cool, shut up. And I hate that he does this hand cam quick zoom for everything. He uses it so much in this movie. Stop using it in every scene.
Extreme close-up! Wow!
I think the designs in this movie are some of the worst I've ever seen. Like, Superman's suit looks like shit, and I hate how it's this dumb, futuristic alien mesh. And that's not the only thing that's ugly. All of the alien technology suffers from Michael Bay Transformers syndrome, where it just kind of looks like a mess of gray metal. There are also some other questionable design choices.
That's a penis!
Oh, and also, the movie itself is kind of boring, because it's too long. The opening scene is a good example of things being too long for no reason. I don't need to see Superman's dad flying around on a dinosaur and doing karate. I know the planet's gonna blow up, let's just speed it up. The movie is also 2.5 hours long, and if you look at the plot, it's kind of hard to understand where they're filling this time up. Because it's not a complicated story. Superman lands on Earth, he grows up, he finds out who his family is, immediately after Zod shows up, and he fights him for an hour. The last third of this movie is just blind mass destruction and violence. It's basically a 60-minute long Dragon Ball fight. And it's not like this movie even has the cool action directing that Snyder is known for. It's literally just characters slamming into each other for an entire hour. After a while, you just become desensitized to it. My eyes just glaze over as it keeps going, and it keeps drawing out, and I care less and less. And the destruction in this film is borderline apocalyptic. This is the fucking end of the world. Superman is just blowing through Metropolis without any regard for civilian casualties. And to top it off, it ends with Superman murdering Zod, which is just so very wrong. I've already clowned on this scene before, so I'm not gonna repeat myself too much. If you're strong enough to snap his fucking neck and leave a shockwave afterwards, then why don't you just aim his face somewhere else? You didn't even try! But the reason this sucks starts at the fundamental misunderstanding of Superman as a character. The number one job of a superhero movie is to make us like the main character. We don't even really need to fully agree with them on a personal level, we just have to feel something for them. Even the fucking Joker movie gets this right. Yes, Joker is a psychopathic murderer, but we still kind of empathize with him in his movie. Yet this is a movie about a good guy. Some would argue, the goodest guy that's ever existed, and yet we feel nothing for him. The best Superman stories focus on his humanity because that's the key to making us like him. He was raised on Earth, he was raised by humans, and his full life of experiences up to this point is that of a human on Earth. He's a human first. A human that just so happens to also be an alien. And this is something that I have never seen written well in a Superman movie. I think the laziest shit that you can do with this character is compare him to Jesus. And that's all Zack Snyder does. Do you get it, guys? What does this remind you of? For a movie like this to work, you just have to make us relate to the superhero. And it's really not that hard to do if you just try, but this movie doesn't even try to do that. Take this simple scene of Clark washing up on shore after saving people in the beginning of the movie. He doesn't have any clothes, and he just sees some clothes lying around. Clark finds the unattended clothing outside, he takes them, and he continues on his way. But what if we take the opportunity to have a cute character moment that's specific to Superman? I personally don't think Clark Kent would steal clothes even if he really needed them. I could see him awkwardly going up to the door and asking for the clothes. This would be a cute chance to have some fun dialogue showing that Clark is nice almost to a fault. Oh, sorry, I forgot. That scene would be too long. We have to have a short scene like this one because we spent the first 20 fucking minutes of the movie on space battles and dinosaurs and karate. Who wants to waste time focusing on boring character development? Who cares about that? Hey, by the way, did you know that Superman's hair is too thick for normal razors? He actually has to use his laser vision to fry the hair off of his face. Oh, and it looks like Clark Kent has a beard in this movie. Maybe it would be cute to have a scene of his morning routine. Sometimes showing a superhero doing a basic morning routine, but with a superpowered twist, can help us relate to them. But no, his beard just vanishes between scenes. We can't waste time on shit like that. We have to get to the action, baby. In this movie, while we are being introduced to Clark Kent, we see him attempt to stand up to a guy who's harassing a waitress. Clark then gets bullied by the man and gets so embarrassed that he goes outside and does this to his truck when nobody is looking. This is pretty fucking sinister. Clark Kent doesn't exact revenge on people in petty ways like this. The first time I saw this movie, I really thought that this guy was going to try to punch Clark in the face and then like break his hand or something, and then Clark would be embarrassed and apologetic. And I don't like implying that I can write these scenes better because I'm not a screenwriter. I don't want to write a movie. But these are just alternatives that pop into my head when I see something that doesn't seem right to me. This doesn't feel right for Superman. Now, about an hour into this movie, we see that Clark accepts his role as a superhero, but by this point, we don't know anything about him as a person other than the fact that he wants to do good, which is a trait that every superhero just comes packaged with, so it's not really that special. Seeing him fly for the first time uninhibited may look cool, but it kind of feels hollow because we don't know this person. And after he becomes Superman, we don't get any scenes of him saving people or doing anything Superman-like. We don't get to see him be Superman. It skips the part where the superhero does superhero stuff, and it goes straight to the final battle. I'm not lying. This movie basically is an intro flashback leading up to Superman becoming a superhero, and then the final battle begins. This makes it even weirder in future movies when the characters in this world see Superman as a hero, because as far as I'm concerned, he's a war criminal. The first thing he does when he is publicly revealed is destroy the fucking city. He destroys the local 7-Eleven, the local Sears, and the local IHOP, and that kind of domestic terrorism would never be forgiven. Hell, sometimes getting the main hero right is as simple as understanding their parents or their mentors. And in this movie, his dad is so fucking obsessed with Clark hiding his identity that he dies for it. No, stop, my invincible son. Do not save my life. A core value of Jonathan and Martha Kent is that they encourage Clark to use his powers to help people. But in this movie, Jonathan Kent tells Clark that he should have let children die as opposed to revealing his powers.
What was I supposed to do? Just let him die?
Maybe.
What the fuck? Can you picture Aunt May or Alfred saying that shit? Oh, you should have let those kids die instead of revealing your secret identity. And another way that I think you can easily get people to like Superman is to make Lois Lane work. If you can do a superhero romance really well, people will react well to it. Just look at Spider-Man and Mary Jane. People fucking love those two together. But a lot of the Spider-Man movies do a really good job of making sure that the two main actors have chemistry together. But this movie has more scenes of Lois fucking around and doing boring-ass investigative journalism than scenes of her interacting with Superman. And I'm not saying her character has to be tethered to Clark Kent at all times, but if this series wants us to feel anything for them, we need to actually see them talking in some substantial way. For instance, this is the first scene of them together. How romantic. And it doesn't help that Lois Lane is probably the most fucking boring character in this entire series. Her lines are particularly bad.
Harry, come on, it's me we're talking about. I'm a Pulitzer Prize winning reporter.
Who the fuck talks like this? Now you might be saying, Marky, you said it's okay for movies to change stuff from the comics, but sometimes you get upset when they make a change. And I didn't think I'd have to explain this outright, but I don't think some people get it. I've always said that changes are good if they work in the context of that story. I always say I like how the Mandarin is changed in Iron Man 3 because I think for that story, it makes perfect sense. But then I also said that I don't like the movie version of Civil War because the comic book version, to me, has a lot more emotional significance. It's a comic book storyline that was built up over a much longer period of time, and I think that they should have done that with the movie version. My general idea is that I'm open to change in a comic book movie if the change works. I'm not one of those people who's immediately gonna write off a comic book movie because it's not accurate. The Aquaman movie is very different from the comic books, but I think it is different in a way that works. This movie feels wrong on every level because it doesn't improve Superman with any of these changes. The changes make him worse. So Superman's girlfriend doesn't work, Superman's parents don't work, and Superman himself doesn't work. Zod works, but that's not enough. These characters don't act like real people, so the movie fails. If I didn't know a single thing about Superman, this might be a little more acceptable, but I think it does a really bad job at exploring this character. And unfortunately, this movie doesn't do anything to convince people that Superman isn't a boring character. The only reason this movie isn't dog shit is because it looks like a masterpiece in comparison to the next movie. So 4 out of 10, let's get on to the real shit now. I think Batman v Superman is my least favorite superhero movie of all time. Everything that I've ever criticized a superhero movie for is present in Batman v Superman, plus there are some things that I didn't even know I hated until I saw this movie. Oh, and look, I can watch the Ultimate Edition, an extra half hour of movie. Gee, thanks, Mom, you shouldn't have. So let's dive right in. So this movie introduces us to Zack Snyder's version of Batman, which I've already criticized heavily in the past. I mean, I guess I'd probably be a murderer too if my dad was fucking Negan. Now I should probably let you guys know that Batman is in fact my second favorite superhero, and I fully believe that there are some things you should never change when it comes to Batman. Number 1, Batman doesn't use guns. Number 2, Batman doesn't kill people. Number 3, Batman doesn't use fucking guns to kill people. God fucking damn it, Zachary. Snyder somehow took Superman, a symbol of hope and optimism, and turned him into a war criminal with no emotions. So it's no surprise that his version of Batman gets rid of all nuance and just distills him down to an angry punching man. Now, if you're the kind of person who thinks Batman should kill people because it's more realistic, well, that's okay, but you and I can't be friends if you think that way. His core value is that he values life above everything else, because his world was shattered by a random act of violence and he wants to prevent anyone from feeling the pain that he felt that day. And when people call him an anti-hero, they're actually completely wrong. None of this definition has anything to do with Batman. Batman is not an anti-hero. He works with fucking cops, he doesn't kill people, and he goes out of his way to save every life he can, even if it's the life of someone evil. Most of the time, he's more of a good guy than Superman, but he's grumpy, so people just call him an anti-hero. And if you say, well, he's a vigilante, he works outside of the law, so that makes him an anti-hero. Well, then that makes everybody a fucking anti-hero. Superman and Spider-Man are anti-heroes too by that logic. Fucking Wonder Woman is an anti-hero. Does that make sense to you? Because it doesn't make sense to me. I think the Punisher makes more sense as an anti-hero because he does things that are not good to do, like fucking killing people. And I'm really not trying to gatekeep superheroes over here. You can have different interpretations of the character, but I'm just saying there are a lot of things about these characters that people ignore because movies get them wrong as well. We look at Spider-Man and we accept the fact that he doesn't kill people because he's a cute, fun guy and he's nice, and if he killed people it would make us sad. But Batman is an old, grumpy guy, so people just assume he's supposed to murder people. If you ask me, this mentality is pretty dumb, and Zack Snyder is one of the people who thinks this way. So his Batman sucks shit and we haven't even fucking started the movie. Alright, I'm gonna be here all day, I guess. Now, despite the fact that I just ranted like a madman about Batman, let's accept the fact that this is the version of the character that we are given for this movie. I do think that this version of Batman would see the destruction of Metropolis, get mad, and swear to take down Superman. Because like I said in the last movie, Superman is a fucking monster, and nobody would ever be on his side if this was the real world. I will at least say that it's nice to see that this movie opens up with a different perspective on what we saw previously.
I want you to get everyone out of the building right now. You understand?
Let's go. Come on, start moving now.
Wait, so you're telling me this guy only just now realized that evacuating is a good idea? Bro, if I see the alien ship destroying the city 2 blocks away, my ass is already out the building. I am not dying for an unpaid internship at Wayne Enterprises. So at the beginning of this movie, the story is pretty easy to follow. Superman did an oopsie and committed a war crime in the last movie, and now Batman wants to kill him. And yes, you heard that right. I said kill. Anyway, now Lois Lane is doing some hardcore, super exciting, really fun to watch investigative journalism.
Are you a terrorist, General?
What kind of journalist would ask that question? Anyway, to show us that this isn't your mama's Superman movie, Jimmy Olsen, Superman's best pal, gets fucking executed by terrorists. We just met this guy. He gets fucking domed immediately. If that doesn't prove to you that Zack Snyder hates Superman, I don't know what to tell you, man. Also, can I just say, what the fuck is this scene for? We don't even know these people. Oh well, I guess it doesn't matter. We wasted all this time just to give Superman a guy to kill. And yes, I said kill. Okay, so it's implied that someone is trying to frame Superman and make him look more violent than he is. But we already know, based on what these movies have shown us, that he is a violent person who kills people. Anyway, let's not worry about that. Let's instead look at one of the many unintentionally funny scenes of the movie.
Good evening.
Why is he crawling on the ceiling like Spider-Man? So one of the things that Batman likes to do in this universe is use a fucking cattle iron to brand the villains like cows so that when they go to jail, the other inmates know who they need to murder. This kind of roundabout second-hand murder is exactly what I'd expect from this version of Batman, so I'm not even that mad, to be honest. If I get mad at every single insane thing that this man does, I'll probably die of a heart attack. Also, Zucker Lex is a fucking joke, but he's the only thing in this movie that exudes any life at all. He's the only thing in this movie that I can laugh at, so honestly, I cannot complain. Also, now we're like 45 minutes into the movie, and so far, all we've seen is people in desaturated scenes talking about how shitty everything is. I'm not exaggerating when I say that this is the most boring movie I have watched for this series so far. We have Lex Luthor trying to coerce a congresswoman into giving him access to more kryptonite, even though he already has kryptonite. Meanwhile, Superman is sad about people calling him a murderer, and Lois is sad because she's dating a murderer. And all the while, Batman is in his fucking cave planning a murder. At least show me a murder so I can have something to complain about. Oh, that's better, thank you. See, the weird thing is, in this movie, both Batman and Lex Luthor want to defeat Superman. It would make sense to me if Zucker Lex or Bruce approached the other person and was like, hey, we don't like Superman. Let's fucking kill him. But no, that can't happen because Lex also wants Batman and Superman to fight each other. You may ask, why? Well, I can't tell you because I don't know. Anyway, now Batman has a dream sequence where the world is taken over by evil Superman. And this is where we see Dream Batman using a gun to kill people. And people like to say, oh, well, it's a dream sequence, so it doesn't really count. And I'm not even joking when I say that that's still too far for me. Batman is the kind of guy whose inner voice refers to himself as Batman.
The voice kept calling me Bruce. In my mind, that's not what I call myself.
What do you call yourself? Oh, yeah.
He is so deeply connected and devoted to his insane core values that I can't see this and think it's anything other than ridiculous. Also, you might notice that these dream sequences are alluding to future movies, even to the extent that the Flash literally shows up to tell Bruce what's gonna happen in the Justice League sequel. Oh, I forgot that movie's never going to happen, so these scenes don't matter. I gotta admit, that's pretty embarrassing. So anyway, now Superman is meeting with the wife of the criminal that Batman killed earlier. And yes, I said kill, because this movie is now trying to give Superman a reason to hate Batman. Now let me just illustrate something to you guys real quick. This is a movie where Batman is angry at Superman because Superman killed people. Meanwhile, Superman is mad at Batman because Batman kills people. Our heroes are just two murderous hypocrites that still don't learn their fucking lesson by the end. Because the guy who made the movie doesn't think that killing is bad. He thinks it's cool. I could stop right there, but we're only an hour into the movie. Next we have a scene where Batman kills another dozen people. And yes, I said kill. Those guys are definitely dead. That guy's dead. Okay, now these guys might be okay. Oh wait, no, they're definitely dead now. If they weren't dead before, that'll do it. These are the most dead people. These guys get killed the hardest?
You know, I tried to do it in that sort of technical way. I tried to do it like by proxy. You shoot the car that they're in, the car would blow up.
That counts as killing! That is murder! Now you guys might be wondering why I'm focusing so much on how bleak and violent this movie is. This movie seems like it's trying to get us to question the idea of killing innocent people if you're a superhero.
To look him in his eye and ask him how he decides which lives count and which ones do not.
So the whole time, you are being reminded by the movie that killing is bad, but then meanwhile, Batman and Superman fucking kill people. And not only do the events of this movie teach our heroes nothing, but the next movie, Justice League, is just goofy fun times with jokes and booyahs.
My man.
Booyah. When you compare how airtight the Marvel movies are to how fucking insane this shit is, it's like night and day.
Day versus night.
Shut up, we're not at that part yet. Anyway, we've hit the halfway point of the Misery Olympics now, and it's time for things to start happening. So Lex wants to get more kryptonite, but Elastigirl says he's not allowed to have more kryptonite. So he hires one of Bruce's old employees who lost his legs during the last movie's final battle so that he can sue Superman for being evil. Lex Luthor then gives that guy a cool robot wheelchair, and then he blows it up in the courthouse, killing everybody except Superman. Also, I love Superman's reaction to witnessing the deaths of everybody in the courthouse. Doesn't even really seem to mind that much. Oh, and instead of staying to help the people who have just fucking been bombed, he flies away. You don't need to be a comic book expert to know that Superman would never do that. Oh, and this is something I only noticed now editing the video, but there's a scene where Clark goes up into the mountains because he's really sad, and he sees a vision of his ghost dad, and now, for some reason, Pa Kent is using a weird voice that he wasn't using in the last movie.
People are afraid of what they don't understand.
Your grandma baked me cake. Said I was a hero.
I don't know why this makes me laugh. He sounds like a completely different person. Oh, and since we have to cram as much shit into this movie as possible, Wonder Woman watches YouTube videos of all the other Justice League members so that we can force some sequels and spin-offs. But hey, now Batman has the kryptonite, so he decides to build an Iron Man suit and a bunch of kryptonite weapons so that he can fucking kill Superman. But hold on, cause things haven't even gotten crazy yet. Lex Luthor's fucking 4D chess multi-layered plan also involves taking Zod's corpse, mixing it with his DNA, and creating a monster. What are you trying to accomplish? I've said this before, but I really don't like when a villain's plan is that he can just anticipate anything, because it comes across as the plan just being fucking dumb. What happens if Elastigirl doesn't do any of the things that you told her to do? How does he know that Batman has a vendetta against Superman? How does he know that he even wants to kill him? Did you fucking ask him? Did you call him on the phone? What if Lois Lane just pushes you off this fucking building after you kidnap her and threaten to kill her? What if Superman doesn't save Lois this one time? Also, how do you know that mixing your blood with the corpse of an alien will resurrect it and turn it into a monster? Nobody told you that. You might think that these questions would be answered in the extended edition, but they're not. He also tells Superman, hey, I kidnapped your mom, and you're never gonna be able to save her or I'll kill her. Why doesn't Superman just go save his mom? He could do it like really super fast. We saw him do it in this movie with Lois Lane earlier. I seriously feel like I'm losing my mind listening to this man talk. He wants to expose Superman, but he also wants to kill him and also make him do his bidding. You can't have all of those things. Do you know that? Whatever, doesn't matter. It's time to fight. Time to have the battle that the movie's named after. Pow! Pew pew! Byong! Oh no, Batman's losing. Time to use a smoke bomb to trick the man who has X-ray vision. So fucking stupid. Oh look, now Batman's winning because he farted on Superman. And this scene really reads like it was made by someone who greatly prefers Batman over Superman. Pow pow! Bam! Bonk! Batman wins the fight. It's dumb. I'm not gonna waste any more time on it. However, right before Batman uses the magic alien spear to execute Superman, the dumbest shit in the movie happens. Superman, in his dying moments, refers to his mother by her first name, which causes Batman to realize, oh my gosh, he's literally me. Who the fuck refers to their mother by their first name, especially as your final words before you are being killed? This is the one thing that stops Batman's murder quest cold turkey. He switches to being Superman's fucking best friend so fast that I thought I missed a scene of them actually reconciling. All it took was Superman's mom having the same name. It is truly the dumbest shit that this movie could have pulled.
Martha won't die tonight.
Stop saying Martha. It just sounds wrong now.
Martha, Martha, Martha.
Anyway, it's time for the only scene of the movie that I unironically enjoy. I've praised this scene before. I honestly just can't hate it. Because whenever I watch it, I just pretend that it's a really quick Batman short film where Batman just beats up some guys. And I think it's actually the only cool movie Batman fight scene. Yeah, he's being brutal. He's kind of skirting the line of what is and isn't murder. But I just need something exciting. Okay, please let me have this. I also kind of like that he gets his ass kicked in this fight. Like, they use his cape against him. One guy tries to fucking shoot him in the head. But I should clarify that I like this scene up until he beats the last guy in the room. Because after this cool, well-choreographed fight scene, we are reminded that this is a bad movie. Because Batman ends the scene by using a gun to kill a man.
This is disgusting. This is awful in every way.
And even though the movie feels like it should be ending soon, we actually have 40 minutes left. So it's time to throw in a new villain in the last quarter of the movie. And this is officially where the movie enters the realm of being too stupid to be forgiven. This movie has officially become a bad video game. There's not even anything I can say about this. They're just slamming into each other. And then Wonder Woman shows up and she slams into him. And then Batman watches because he's just a regular guy.
She with you?
I thought she was with you.
What? You've met her, Batman. She's your friend. You're the one who knows her. You know who she is. Also, I love that on 2 separate occasions we have to have characters say that the places they're fighting in are abandoned.
Strikers Island, east of Metropolis.
That's uninhabited.
Why did you bring him back to the city?
The port is abandoned.
Because, ooh, we can't make fun of this movie. Please don't make fun of my movie. See, the final battle didn't kill any innocent people, but innocent people did die in that scene, and in that scene, and in that scene, and in that scene, and in that scene, but not in the final battle, so you can't make fun of me anymore. Oh, and while this fight is happening, Lois is literally just off periodically almost dying. Lois, fucking go away. How many times are you gonna get yourself killed? It's kind of a joke how prone you are to danger. So to kill the video game final boss, Clark goes and he lands the finishing blow with the magic spear. He tells Lois that he loves her, and we feel nothing because they still don't feel like they're in a relationship because we haven't seen them fucking talking to each other yet. And stop with the quick zooms. I thought we were done with that. So yeah, Superman totally dies, like for real, not clickbait. And the civilians that hate him mourn his death, and the guy who only knew him for an hour mourns his death.
I failed him. Life.
Dude, you tried to stab him to death in a dirty warehouse. You weren't fucking friends. Also, it's really funny that the newspaper says Superman dead. And also, Clark Kent, random guy that nobody knows, is also dead. So yeah, after that, Lex Luthor gets exiled to the realm of not being allowed to be in a movie ever again, and Batman threatens to brand him like a cow and send him to Arkham Asylum to be murdered. Just to remind you that Batman did not learn his lesson. Anyway, the movie's over now and I feel dead inside. It blows my mind that there are people who watch this movie and like it. Because I'm not lying when I say that I hope I go the rest of my life without ever seeing this movie again. I hate it. I am not lying when I say that this movie is only given any credit because of a single fight scene. And when I say this is my least favorite superhero movie, I'm still not saying it's the worst. Yes, I understand that this is becoming a joke at this point, but this is still not the worst superhero movie ever made. It's just the one that I personally cannot stand. You can't even enjoy this movie as a joke, and that's why I don't like it. I can watch Daredevil and Catwoman any day because those movies are hilarious. They're basically comedies at this point. Batman v Superman does not have any redeeming qualities. It is not fun to watch, and that's why I personally hate it the most. And yeah, what really fucks with me is that while I hate this movie the most personally, it still isn't the worst movie. So for now, I'm gonna give Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice a 2 out of 10.